Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Ishan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, yeah. How are you?
Very nice. I'm very well. Thank you so much. We had a great association over the weekend. There was a Kirtan. Friday was Ekadashi. Not sure if you perform Ekadashi, but we should all perform Ekadashis. Ekadashi is one of those fasts which are most renowned in the Shastras, in our scriptures, where fortnightly we need to do fasting, and there are different kinds of fastings. So each and every single Ekadashi, it has a unique name and a unique story behind it, and they all are from the scriptures. Many other fasts we do, they're not from the scriptures, they're not from the Sanatan Dharma, they are not from the Vedic culture, but they are based on the, well, not from the Vedic culture, but based on the culture people followed later. And if you try to source them out, you will not find the scriptures backing. But Ekadashi is fasting are one of those which are very famously known in the scriptures, many places in the scriptures. And whenever there is an Ekadashi, like there was last Friday, we always look forward to celebrate. And in the evening, we actually went to another devotee's place, and we had a great kirtan there. So this is one of those things which we always do. It's not only the fasting from the food, which we usually think. Grain is one of those things we don't eat on fasting. We are not supposed to. And there are both medical, scientific reasons behind it, apart from the religious reasons. Well, so today I just thought we have a very special session. Reason being, one of our head monks in the temple, in Watford temple, is getting sannyas. Well, he got the sannyas in the morning, actually. So for few days, few weeks, a lot of devotees been discussing this, and 4 different Maharaj. So Maharaj is one of those who get into the Sampradaya, probably that's the topmost spiritual position. And we shall discuss about it. So he got sannyas today, which religiously, spiritually, as per the Vedic culture, is the topmost place you could get to. Not materially, spiritually. And interesting enough, I've met him a number of times. Last Sunday I was there, I gave him a hug, and he's of my age. So very similar to your dad's age, if you think about it. It's so interesting. The kids, they have met him, and you might have seen him when you visited the temple. His name is Sutapa Prabhuji, and of course now his name will change slightly a bit. So a great ceremony happened today. The temple was fully packed, and we do need to understand, because a lot of times devotees, many others, they get confused with the 2 things. And I thought, let's discuss that for everyone, for us and for the audience who are out there, whoever would like to get these differences clarified. And it's really important. And as I said, since the weather has gone great, a lot of devotees, they find it hard to come online, which I can't really blame, because a couple of years they've been in lockdown. So this is the time to play out. Aaron actually got the invite a bit earlier to come and play in the cricket. So I don't know after Prashad if he's thinking to go out, but at least now he's here with us. Okay. And Adi is here with us, Shivani is here with us, which is great. Let's do Mangalacharan, and then we shall do a special session today, try to understand how the classifications are as per the Vedic culture and what that really means for us, because we do need to understand. And it's very interesting to figure out that there are even those societies who would not know these, they still follow them. And that's one of those great things I think about the Vedic culture. Very first time when I read Bhagavad Gita, I was wondering for so long that how come Arjun asked those questions which I wanted to ask, which were there in my mind for that long. So when the scriptures provide the answers to those questions which you have not even asked, then I think, which has been there in your mind for that long, but you haven't asked them, I think that's one of the great things to be. So let's have Mangla, Charan, and we shall do the divisions of the society and how. So there are two different categorization we will see. So let's please feel free to join me in Mangla, Charan. Om. अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वंशगपादरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। Hare Krishna. So, as we were discussing briefly, I just thought it's a great idea to discuss two broader categorization today. And the background is the reason why we thought of this topic, because we've been discussing this for a few days and few weeks, actually for a few months. The preparation been happening. If you haven't already, then have seen on YouTube or Facebook of Bhaktivedanta Manor Temple, then I will share the link with you. The whole ceremony is there. The four Maharaji comes around, and Sutapa Prabhuji, who has moved on to the next stage of his life, which ideally we all should move on to. We don't need to, we don't have to. Spiritually is great too. So there are two categorizations, and we will see what are those categorizations. So one is called varna. Varna is based on our activities, what we do in day-to-day life. What do we do? Based on that, we are classified as one of these four. Could be Brahman, could be Kshatriya. So Kshatriya starts from K, but it is actually this K is silent. So we call Kshatriya, but it starts from K, and then Shudra, and then Vaishya. So these are the 4 categories in the first we would like to see. So 4 varnas. Now, anyone of you would know, I'm looking at the list, I think all of you, that which varna would you fall into out of these 4 at the moment? Anyone? All right, let me explain a bit, and maybe then, because it's always good, you know, whenever we hear that there are different categories available, we always think, or we should, like, which category I fall into, right? We always think about ourselves. As I always say, what could be more important to us more than ourselves, right? So who's the most important person in our life? Me, right? And I need to understand me, myself. And then I need to understand God. And then I need to understand the relation I have with God, right? So very first one in the society is Brahman. Brahman is somebody who is learning. And not only he learns, whatever he has learned, he shares with others. So that's called Brahman. Easy. So you might have seen in the temple, priests, they are Brahmins, right? They learn a lot. They have learned a lot of scriptures. Maybe a child born in a Brahmin family will learn a lot of scriptures. And then when he will or she will grow up, the kids, they will become the adult Brahmin. And then whatever they have been learning for all their childhood and youth, they will start sharing with others. However, Prahlad Maharaj, at the age of 5, said that we don't really need to wait until we grow up, because we don't know whether we will grow up or not, right? He said no one knows the future. So when is the best time to start bhakti, to start devotional service? It's now, right? Now is the best time. We don't need to wait. We should not wait, right? So Arun, when is the best time for the devotional service?
In the morning.
Okay, he said in the morning. Yeah, and I said this now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yes, in the morning we always say, because we used to do the prayers in the morning. If you want to do the chanting, we start chanting. So that's in the day, the best day is in the morning. But during the lifetime, a lot of people think that, oh, when we grow up, then we will start. What do you think about it? Should we do that?
No. Because in the end, you might not even get time.
Mhm.
You always find something to do to occupy yourself.
Right. Okay. What others think? Should we wait until we turn 40, 50, 60? A lot of people, they say that we should wait until we will grow old. What do you think? Should we really do that? Or should we start bhakti, start devotional service right away? Why Prahlad Maharaj said it? Why Prahlad Maharaj said that we need to be now? Anyone? Okay, yeah, that's right. So, right, I got a chat message, and that's so true. And as Aryan said, and this is what Prahlad Maharaj said. So, a lot of parents, they make a very big mistake, that they leave the spiritual knowledge behind and just give material knowledge to their children. And materially, they get competitive, they get skillful, they get knowledgeable, but they forget that spirituality gives them the foundation on which they can have the success of material things. If that spiritual foundation is not there, then it doesn't really matter how huge the tower of materialism is. It can fall anytime. Anytime it can fall down. And we have seen that recently in COVID, a lot of friends, unfortunately, lost someone in the family, and some of them been in touch. That it's been very hard. We know many of our friends, one of our friends lost both parents, another one lost father, another one lost mother, another one lost both the nephews. The list is endless. But those among them who were devotees, means they were not waiting for this time and then start doing bhakti. They were anyways engaged, and they were reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and they understood the purpose of life, and they understood that how they should behave. And we always say that when things will go bad, they are not circumstances, they are not in our hands. So how devotees are different, that we, rather than reacting, devotees respond back, right? So the reaction is usually instantaneous. Reaction is actually what we expect. So if you will just push someone back, the automatic reaction is that that person will push you back as well. And then if you will say, oh, why did you push me? If the first person will ask the second person, why did you push me? The second person will say, well, you pushed me first. What do you expect? What do you expect? This statement is based on unconscious bias, which means that this is what you will expect in this society, right? This is what you will expect. Many other places, maybe in India, if the elder person will walk in and a child is there and child will not touch the feet, the elder person might get upset. Oh, why didn't he touch my feet for the blessings? And not only that, if and this has happened with me many years back, if you touch somebody's feet from your left hand rather than right hand, the other person might get upset just because of that. And this has happened with me. I had something important I can't think of in my right hand. So when I bow down, I just touch the feet from the left hand, and it happened very spontaneous, very quick. When you're pleased to see someone and you don't have time and somebody introduces, and you just very quickly go for it. And that's what I did. And guess what? The other person, who was a lady at that time, got upset. And then I started explaining me, which she was right. But why? Because of unconscious bias, I would say. What is unconscious bias? That we don't really think that we get, whichever culture we live in, that culture sinks into us so much that we don't even realize that we are becoming one of those. Now, thinking about it, is it bad? If we are with devotees, we should become like devotees. But the thing is, it's good to have good habits. But should we have habits? Because as we say, habits are those things which we do unconsciously. How about if you do the good things, not unconsciously, but consciously? Then it's not unconscious bias. It's not that we are doing good things because we have been doing it for a while. So another research happened and said, well, if you want to make something as your habit, just do it by force for 40 days. If you will just do something for 40 days, it could be as simple as that. When you come home, you put your keys, car keys or the door keys at one particular place. If you do that forcefully, keep reminding yourself to do that, leave your keys at one place 40 days. 41st day, even if you're chatting with someone, even if you are not thinking about it, even if no one has asked you to do that, you would do that automatically. Amazing. Give it a try. Sometimes I think for some, it might not even take 40 days. It might happen in 10 days. And for others, it might take just a bit more than 40 days. But the point is that it will happen. It will, until and unless we are conscious, which most of the time we are not. A lot of time we are talking, we are doing multitasking, we are doing this and we are doing that. But For Brahman, the very first one, when the person is learning something, it's not learning like I met another guy, a student who was learning and the music was going at the back. Or even worse, I think, an audio book was going at the back while the person was learning. Now that audio book was good, was part of the syllabus, the person should have listened to that. But at that time, when the person is learning, maybe should not do those two things together. But we do. But that's Brahmin. That's, well, in Hindi or Sanskrit, we call it Brahman, right? So that person, what that person does the learning. And that person doesn't have anything else in the life to do. Just learn and share the learnings. Remember, not only just learn, but share the learning. And these are two different categories as well within Brahman. One person will just learn for the sake of himself or herself, but the other person will learn and out of sheer compassion will share with others as a devotional service. This is what Srila Prabhupada ji said as well. Share the name of the Lord with everyone. And that's Brahman. And then the second one is Kshatriya. Now, if you think about Kshatriyas, so Arjun was the warrior, so Arjun was a Kshatriya. And even now, maybe the soldiers, those soldiers who are out there fighting, they are Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are those rulers as well who protect the society. So their main aim and objective is to protect, right? So the politicians these days, they are also Kshatriyas because they are supposed to govern. The kings, olden days, and because kings used to take tax, and based on the tax, they used to help everyone. Similar thing here, the government, they take the tax and they are supposed to help everyone. Right? So it's very similar concept. They all fall into the category of Kshatriya. And then the third one, it's called Shudra. Now, Shudra means anyone who works for someone else. Who works for someone else. Now, for someone else, for whom? Well, that person may work from the temple. So in the temple, we need cleaners, we need the sweepers, we need security people. There could be Shudras. And the Kshatriyas, the government people, might need all those people as well. So the Shudras will work there. And Vaishyas, Vaishyas are the business people. Business people. So if someone is not doing a job, doing a business, that person is a Vaishya. Right? And then Vaishya person might hire Shudras as well. So Shudras out of 4 are probably very important because all three different classes, they will need them. But if you think about it, all the 4 are interrelated. They all work for each other. They support each other. Now, you might say, which one is best out of 4? So which one do you think? Listening to what I've said so far, so Brahmins, they learn and they teach whatever they have learned. Kshatriyas, they charge a bit, tax, but they're supposed to help everyone. They protect everyone. Then Vaishyas, business people, they do the business. And Shudras, they're the working class. They work. Whatever they work, they get the salary. So business people, they don't work for someone, they work for themselves. If they will work hard, they might make, not necessary, but most of the time they will work harder, they will make more money because it's their own business and they can expand businesses. So all the shops we see in the market, they are business people. So as the Morrisons, these are the grocery shops, but again, then you have many other shops as well. They all are businesses. So they all are Vaishnavas class. Now, everyone working there who get the salary, they are Shudras. So based on these, what do you think? Who is the best one out of these 4? What do you think? Anyone?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Tanmay, please.
I think Shudras are the best as they help everybody. So they're important for Brahman, Vaishyas, and Kshatriyas. Whilst Vaishyas just work for themselves, Kshatriyas take taxes, and Brahmins share their knowledge, but Shudras work for them and they help everybody together.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Tanmay. Anyone else? What do you think? So Tanmay says Shudra, and that's so true because Shudra is probably the foundation which helps for every other class to excel. So the question here is, out of these four classes, or in Sanskrit we call them varna, out of these four varnas, who is the best? Give it a guess. Aaron is thinking.
Prabhuji,
Yes, please.
I think like all the books and the scriptures that I have read, it's always said that Brahman is always kept on the top of the Varna system.
Very nice. Thank you. And do we know why? Any guesses why Brahmana could be top of? Okay. So we got another view that Brahmin could be the top. Of course, we understand Shudras because Shudras could be the foundation. They are the foundations. And Brahmin is also considered sometimes the topmost out of four because Brahmins, they provide the learning, right? As we were saying, if the Kshatriyas, the politicians, they rule very well, but they don't have the spiritual knowledge provided by Brahmins, then Shudras, they might become corrupt. Like Duryodhan wasn't nice, right? Because Duryodhan didn't have Krishna with him. He didn't want Krishna. He wanted Krishna's army. But Arjun had Krishna with him, and they both were politicians. Arjun and Duryodhan, they both were the warriors. They both were Kshatriyas. But Krishna was there. The knowledge Krishna gave in the form of Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, based on that knowledge, Arjun got a back and he managed to perform his prescribed duty, which was to protect the whole world at that time. Or started with Hastinapur. So that's one of the reasons. Now, so same thing goes with the business people. If the business people, they are working, for example, if you see this guy in the picture, right? Say he's doing a business. If he doesn't have the spiritual moral values embedded in his system, then he might start cheating others, which happens a lot in the businesses, unfortunately, even these days. There could be more now, but depends where we are. Because of all the time Vaishyas, they might be business people, they might be thinking to make more and more money. So what Jay said, that yes, so right, Brahmins could be. Now again, we understood that Shudras, they are the foundation because they support each other classes, every other classes, and based on those classes, they will be great. But Brahmins are also great because they help others. Right. I tell you what the Acharya says. Acharya says that none of these four are any better than others. They all are equally important. Because if it's like four wheels in a car. Now, if somebody will say, which wheel is better? Well, you need four wheels. Well, in a four-wheeler, in the two wheels, you just need two. But in a four-wheel, you could never say that, oh, I just need the front one because the engine is there. It doesn't really matter about the rear, the back wheels. No. And similarly, you can't say, oh, well, I need the back because my family is sitting at the back. I'm myself alone at the front being a driver. I will manage. No. The car, the vehicle will not perform best to its capability until we have all four. And not only all four, they all four needs to be connected and they all four needs to respect each other. So if we drop the judgment like what we usually do, and that's the reason I asked this question, that because we say Brahmins are better than Shudras. And unfortunately, this what had started happening, and even some places in India, this happened. And when this happens, that's what we call caste system. Because someone will say, I'm Brahmin, so I'm better than Shudra, or I'm better than Vaishyas. And it is very renowned. There are many stories in the Bhagavatam. So in one story, there was a sage who was a Brahmin, and there was a king. Both of them, they had daughters, and those daughters, they were friends. And the names were Devyani and Shamika. Shamika, yeah. And they both were friends, but they had a fight. Reason being, they started comparing with each other, saying that we are better than yours. When they say we, they meant the sect they belong to. So the Brahmin lady said, well, your father. So obviously the king, so the daughter of the king said, well, my father is a king. He gives the money to the temple, and that's why your family is surviving. Imagine the two best friends are talking right now. And this is the daughter of the king said it, that my father gives the money to the temple, and that's the reason you and your family surviving. And then the daughter of the Brahmin said, yeah, that might be true, but don't you know that your father comes for all the advices from my father? He touches the feet of my father. He takes the permission from my father. So what do you think? Who is better? And they fought. And of course, the whole story goes, it was very, very, very bad. But whenever we have this judgment of comparing to, then these things happen. And Acharyas has explained so very nicely that each and every, the way they have explained that, imagine there is a body, right? In the body, the brain could be Brahmin because it's intellectual. They think what to do, right? And then maybe the arms, the chest, because that's how we do the things, action. They are like what we can see here, Kshatriyas. They are the ones who do things. So the hands. So the hands of the body could be Kshatriya. And then stomach, the stomach where we feed the body, right? That's where the business class comes in, because they are the ones who bring the money. Who pays the taxes to the politicians? Who pays the taxes to Kshatriyas? Most of the time Vaishyas, because they have money. Brahmin doesn't have money. Shudras, they don't have a lot of money. Who got the money? Vaishyas. So they are the one who gives the money to everyone. So they are the stomach. And Shudras, because they do all the leg work, literally, that's why they are the legs of the body. So again, if you think about it, this time from bottom to top, Shudras, they could be compared as the legs. Vaishyas, they could be compared as the stomach. Kshatriyas, they could be compared as the mighty arms. And then Brahman, they could be compared as the head or the brain. Now, which out of four is better? Well, they all, because they all come together to make the body. If physically we don't have the legs, how does it matter how mighty our hands are? And this is the same in the politics. Or think of Arjun. If Arjun is alone, and of course Arjun was a great devotee, so his case could be different, but any other warrior, if you think there's just single warrior and he doesn't have the army with him, what he could do? And all the soldiers, they fall into Shudra family, so they support. But of course the king is the one who makes the decision, makes all the strategies, but he always seeks the guidance from the Brahmins. And where he gets the money from? All the weapons, he gets it from the Vaishyas. So ideally, they all four are equal in the society. They all are equally this is what our Shastra says. Shastra never says that one is better than others. Of course, if there is so we do need to discuss the context. If the context is where we talk about learning. So for example, Srila Prabhupada ji said, everybody should become Brahmin, which basically meant that everybody should read Vedic scriptures, right? When we read Vedic scriptures, we become Brahmin. And not only that, we should read, we should share with others. And regardless of our age, as we say, Dhruv Maharaj, 5-6 years old. Similar age, Prahlad Maharaj, 5-6 years old. He said in Bhagavatam that we should not wait even for a moment to start preaching, because we don't know whether we have the next moment or not. We don't. So we should all become Brahmins. But when they say, when Srila Prabhupada ji and Acharyas, they said we should all become Brahmins, the purpose, the context is that we should learn Vedic scriptures. That doesn't mean that they are saying that become Brahmin because that's the best among all four. Now, but when we start believing in that, then the caste system comes into picture, that we think one is better than others. But for the ideal society, all four are equally placed or should be equally responsible. The other thing which comes into this, which Krishna has made it very clear in Bhagavad Gita, that the son of a Brahmin is not a Brahmin until unless he or she, until unless he will become Brahmin, which means until unless he will acquire those skills and the qualifications of a Brahmin. By birth, no one inherit any of these varnas. Right? So the Kshatriya will have a son, and the Kshatriya father will train his son or daughter to become a Kshatriya. Right? If that child will decide, no, I don't want to do that, I want to do business, I'm great in business, I've done my MBA, Masters in Business Administration, so I will go open a new firm. Then the father is a Kshatriya, but the son is not Kshatriya, son is a Vaishya. Again, no good or bad in it, but we do need to know a lot of time. For example, Dronacharya was a Brahmin, but his son was classed as Brahmin because he learned everything from his father. But most of his life, he was with Duryodhan as a Kshatriya, because Duryodhana, well, he inherited a lot of wealth, which actually Pandavas, Arjun won for Dronacharya. Dronacharya got it from his friend Drupad, and he gave all the money, all the palaces to his son. And he was living his life as a Brahmin, Dronacharya, but his son was living a life of a king as a Kshatriya.
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Tanmay.
why was the caste system made?
Right. Why? Yes. The caste system, again, remember, this division is not the caste system. Caste system came into practice when people stopped learning. And the main reason goes to the Brahmins, because Brahmins, they stopped, and this is basically, it has been explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, that the Kali Yuga will come. This has been mentioned in the past that this will happen, and this is happening now, that in Kali Yuga, Brahmins will stop learning and they will only follow the rites and rituals. So for example, Satyanarayan Katha, we will invite, and this has happened in my childhood as well, we invited a priest from the local temple, and I have always been very curious. I asked some questions. He didn't know the answers. Not only that, he didn't know the answers, which could happen to anyone, but he got offended that why did I ask the questions? I was a child anyways, but my questions were very valid. Not only that, priest got offended. That puja, Satyanarayan Katha, was in our neighbor's house. Our neighbors got offended Not only our neighbors got offended, my family got offended. That why did I ask any questions from the priest to put priest into embarrassing situation that he couldn't answer? But the question was very valid. Question was very, very, very valid. I do have the answer now. And how did I figure out the answers? Because I read the scriptures. So the priest, when they stopped reading the scriptures, researching the scriptures, and they only followed the rituals, which means the father said, okay, learn this puja, the prayers, or read this and go out, and this will give you the living. This will give you the living. Now remember, Brahmins are not, or were not, or not supposed to be those who should worry about their living. The society should feed them. And this is what happens in a lot of temples. So the temple I say Bhaktivedanta manner, no one there, the monks who live there, they don't have any salary. Temple takes care of them. And from where temple gets money? Temple gets the money from those who come there. So it's our duty as householder, whenever we go there, we should donate. The donations we give to the temple, that goes to the maintenance of the temple and the brahmacharis, the Brahmins who live there in the temple. But when the Brahmins, they got corrupt, Brahmins, when they stopped learning, when they started worrying about their own, and wisely enough in some sense for them, because the society got so bad that the people stopped donating to the temple for good or bad reasons, because some of the, so we can't really say who started first, but some Brahmins got corrupted, some temples got corrupted. So the other society men, Vaishyas, they said, why should we donate to these corrupt people? And now no one knows who is exactly corrupt. So out of 10 temples, if 4 were corrupt but 6 were good, then the donation stopped maybe for all the 10. And those who were good, they also thought, well, the donations are not coming. Now we should have to maybe start different practices. And then these rites and rituals came, where they said, okay, we need to do this, and we need to feed the Brahmins, we need to do that. And this is in our scriptures. This is called Karma Kanda. But Karma Kanda is just part of it. It's not the main thing. The main thing is what we say, the inquiry. We should always research about ourselves. Self-realization, that should be the aim and objective of the human life. But Brahmins, they stopped that. And then so the Brahmins, they never worried about their families, because they know even if they are not there, the temple will look after them, the society will look after them. And there are many examples of them in the Shastras. But when the corruption happened, the father said, I better teach all this to my children, otherwise my children will not have anything to eat. This happened to Dronacharya as well, because when Ashwathama was a child, he did not even know how milk looks like or how milk is, because he never had milk. So why the caste system was formed? Remember, these 4, they are not the caste system, they are varnas, right? The caste system, these varnas, they transformed into caste system because of Kali Yuga, because people started, they got corrupt, basically. All of them, all 4. Now, again, we don't want to blame anyone who started first, because it's very hard to say. But it's if we start learning our scriptures, we will get the spiritual foundations and we will develop the moral values. Then slowly and gradually, we will develop a community where we can still trust. And as I said, one of our temple, Bhaktivedanta temple, is a great symbol of where still Brahmins are there, and they don't preach for money. They just preach, and all their necessities, they get it from the temple. So they are still there. There's still many politicians who are not corrupt. There's still many business people who don't do any kind of cheating. I got some good friends who run businesses. And of course, there are many Shudras who do their jobs as per their prescribed duty with full faith and all, not because somebody is watching, just because they know that this is what they are supposed to do. So, great question, Tanmay. Thanks for that. But yeah, remember that the caste system is not as per, it's not in the scripture. The varnas are in the scripture, and varnas never say that any of them is better than others. They all are equally important for the society. And this is how our Vedic culture has always been. All of those four, all of those four. So for example, Yudhishthir Maharaj never said, he actually blamed himself that I made so many soldiers killed just because I wanted to be king. And then he went to Bhishma, and Bhishma explained, no, you didn't. You didn't. They all, the results of the karmas of those followed them, which means they died because of their karmas, not because of you. And you didn't, you did a favor because they were struggling, because a lot died, but still a lot survived. And those survived, they are going to be happy people. Right? Otherwise, when the Duryodhan was the king, everybody was struggling and you never know for how long. So you did the fight, and that was not just for yourself, that you will become, of course, you will become a king, but you should not think of that. Otherwise, Yudhishthir Maharaj was very remorse. And similarly, we have seen the example of Dronacharya, who was very attached to his son, but still, most of his life, he was living a life of a Brahmin. Even when his own son became the king, still he was living a Brahminical life. They're rare these days, but still we have those in the society. But again, the caste system is not from the scripture. Caste system is actually a pollution, a polluted effect of Kali Yuga. But the source is not the Vedic culture. Vedic culture is very clear about it. And something very similar. So this is, if you see, now this is what we say varnas, four varnas, not the caste system, varnas. And this is, now again, just to highlight on this, that this is everywhere. Now, it's so beautiful that the Vedic culture, the Sanatan Dharma, the Hinduism we follow, it's been mentioned there. Otherwise, any society you go on, this is there. In one form, in one shape or other, but this is there. In UK, in America, in Russia, in Ukraine, it's there. People are always there in those four categories. Maybe not as they were in like thousands of years back in the Vedic culture, when the people were very nice, not corrupt, but those people are still there who follow these. Right? Now, then we have four ashrams. Ashram means, so somebody who's a Brahmin could be, when if you will see his lifespan could be divided into 4 cycles. Similarly, the Kshatriyas, his life cycle could be divided into 4 stages. Shudra, Vaishya, all of them. So this is based on their profession, not birth, based on their profession, which varna. And it's not only the profession, it's, and most of the time, people get into the profession based on their skills. For example, engineer, doctor, chartered accountant, artist, musician, based on their, so their profession is most of the time based on what they really love to do, right? And most of the time, that's where they excel. When they do, when their profession is what they really love. Of course, a lot of time people just take the job, like a doctor friend, he said, I wanted to be a musician, but my father didn't let me, because most of the musicians, they don't earn, and only a few earn a lot, but you never know whether you will make it. But most of the doctors, they make a lot. So that's why my father said, do your doctorate and do your musician thing as a hobby. And he still does it. I have another engineer friend who has been doing his guitar, has always been doing, and still does it for many, many, many years, but he's an engineer by profession. So this is based on the profession and the traits we have, but this is the stage of the life. Brahmacharya is the very first stage, right? And that's the reason we started this presentation today. Brahmachari is when we are students. So all of you are brahmacharis, right? You are in your brahmachari students, where your main focus in life is to learn to study. No other distraction. Learn and study. Of course, you can have a lot of sports in between to relax, but these days students go to school and come back. Those days in the Vedic time, students used to go and stay in what we used to call Gurukul. So the teacher, and again, this teacher will not ask for any money. No, nothing. The students will come, he will teach for free. However, the student will bring some money with them to sustain their own. So because and again, it depends. Sometimes, for example, Krishna, when Krishna went there, Krishna's father was very rich, Nanda Baba. He was the head of the village. But Sudama was very poor. So when Krishna brought a lot of grains, a lot of food, he shared with everyone, especially with Sudama. And Sudama, he shared with Krishna whatever he had. So the friends used to share with each other. But they used to live there with the teacher for a long, long time. So each one of you belong to Brahmacharya. And then when you grow up, you decide, or your parents will decide, oh, well, you should get married, right? So if you are boys, you will say, oh, I need to find a girl. If you're a girl, oh, I need to find a boy. I need to find a partner, right? I need to get married. So that's called grahastha. So all of your parents, including myself, we are grahastha because we have either husbands, wives, and then we have children. So that's grahastha life. Then after that, we have vanprastha. Vanprastha is when the children grown up, they have left. So maybe, so I'm 40. Let's say I will turn 50. 10 years later, the children grown up, they have gone, and all my financial needs are done. At this time, my main focus is self-realization. Self-realization. That whatever I have learned, a lot of people, so today, while on the way back, we went to a rail museum. The first steam engine, probably in the world. It was definitely in the UK. And great big steam engines, turbine engines. And all the people are volunteers there. So you can consider them roughly in the vanprastha. They don't earn anything. Then they are still in grahastha though. They are with the wife or wives with the husbands. But now they give back to the society. Whatever they have learned, they give back to the society. That's vanprastha, right? Around 50, if you think, it could be any age though. But let's say 50, 55, 60 people retire here. But that time is when you don't really need to earn money because you have already earned, your kids are gone, they are fully independent. No one is dependent on you, and you can do whatever you want because you are free. And as per the scriptures, you will spend time in self-realization, right? But after that, you get into the level which is called sannyasa. And this is when you have decided that not only that you will work on yourself. So this vanprastha is basically when you will work on yourself, to purify yourself, to elevate yourself. Sannyasa is when you will decide, now is the time, whatever I have learned, I will spend in the service of the society. And the whole reason we discuss this today, because one of our dear monk, Sutapa Prabhuji, in the temple has taken sannyasa. It's a big commitment. As you can see, these are the ashrams. So he actually, and this is one of the route, when you are brahmachari, you have two routes. You can go and become grahastha, or you can stay brahmachari for even longer time. That's what he did. So at 20, he could have left, and he said, I could have been grahastha, but he stayed in the temple for next 20 years. So from 20 to 40, where he could have been grahastha, he could have been vanprastha, he stayed as brahmachari. And doesn't really matter for how long you stay brahmachari, you have the decision whether you want to become grahastha, but which most of the brahmacharis do. But he decided that I want to give my life for Krishna. I want to give the life. I want to serve the devotees of Krishna. And he has now accepted sannyasa. Doesn't really matter how long, whether at the age of 20, at the age of 40 or 50. If you are still brahmachari, you can get married and you can still get into grahastha. But once you have taken sannyasa, then there is no turning back. You cannot go back into vanprastha or grahastha. you will not get married. And this is what he has done. He's of my age. So he has taken, and this is a very, very big step in his life. So this is very important for us to understand that. Sorry, I've taken a couple of minutes extra, but think about it, discuss with your parents how important it is for our life. Remember, each one of us, or each one of you, you are brahmacharis, you are students, so try to understand a bit more about it, why study is so important for you, because whatever you will learn here, you're going to implement here in your grahastha life, right? So the success of your grahastha life, which is going to be the foundation later, is what you and how you learn in your brahmachari. So brahmachari life is the first stage of your life where you are, and that's the most important thing. This is going to give you a strong foundation. So thank you so much for your time, and I will share the link in WhatsApp and here as well. So let me just stop sharing for a while. Let me quickly share the link here. So if you would like to, feel free to watch this. Feel free to watch this. This is on Facebook, Bhaktivedanta Manor Temple. I'm going to share this in the chat with everyone. The whole ceremony is there. It's very long, 5 hours, over 5 hours, but watch it in your own time, right? And see what happens there if you want. Otherwise, do discuss these things with your parents, and we will share a lot more. So great to have you all. Thank you for your association. I hope you all have learned a little bit more today about our Vedic culture. I look forward for your association next Sunday, same time, which is 6 p.m. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Bhakta Vrinde ki jai. Thank you so much for your association.